Hey guys, this is Dave here, back with another look at Mass Effect Andromeda. This time I'll be tackling how the game holds up on the PS4 Pro when compared to the definitive 4K experience on PC, with the game running at maximum settings enabled. So the PlayStation 4 Pro represents an affordable entry point into 4K gaming. You don't necessarily get native 4K in all games, and sometimes the visual upgrades are limited to improved visual effects, more complex visuals, or even higher frame rates. But generally, for the most part, you are getting a tangible upgrade over base hardware when going Pro. And in the case of Mass Effect, there are upgrades for both owners of 4K and 1080p displays. Kicking off with a look at the high resolution mode on PS4 Pro, and it's clear that the developers are targeting a perceived 4K resolution. I say perceived because the game isn't running natively at 4K, but remarkably comes very close to matching the native 4K presentation on PC. What Bioware are doing here is checkerboard rendering. In this case, the game is checkerboarding up to 1800p, before this is upscaled to a full 2160p. And the results are generally excellent, especially when you consider that the engine starts off with just 900p's worth of native pixels, before using various reconstruction techniques in order to resolve to the desired 1800p output before being upscaled to 2160p. Put directly up against the PC version running at UHD resolution, and it's clear that the PS4 Pro version doesn't quite deliver the same refined level of image quality. The visuals aren't quite as crisp, with a little bit more softness creeping in, particularly across texture details, and the edges aren't quite as sharp either. However, it still looks very close, and in dark areas the game can at times pass for native 4K. It's only in brighter scenes on a large HD TV where you're likely to notice these discrepancies. There's still a huge improvement compared to the game running at native resolution on the 1080p screen. The higher pixel density, along with the increased pixel count from checkerboarding up to 1800p, resolves more detail and provides a sharper image. And the use of temporal anti-aliasing means that scaling artifacts are subdued, so we get a very smooth presentation. Resolution wise then, Bioware have done a good job at creating a perceived 4K look on the Pro, but are there any upgrades outside of that? Well, there are a few, but nothing particularly groundbreaking. The most notable of these comes with upgraded Ambient Occlusion, which is closer to the PC version's maximum HBAO preset. It delivers more depth to the scene compared to base hardware, though falls short of what the PC version offers. Outside of that, the only other visual upgrade comes with slightly more refined depth of field, which provides greater clarity to those out of focus areas. When running in the 4K mode on the Pro, it's the resolution that provides the biggest boost of visuals here, with the extra GPU power on offer being used to create a sharper, more refined presentation for those who own 4K displays. Playing on the Pro with the machine set to 4K output provides a massive upgrade in image quality over the base hardware, and indeed in some respects it's reasonably comparable to the native 4K experience on PC. But what about PS4 Pro owners that simply only have a 1080p display? Well, officially the game promises enhanced visuals at 1080p, so what do we actually get here? Well, I can say that improved ambient occlusion and upgraded, or rather higher quality depth of field, is present when running the game at 1080p on the Pro. Essentially, in terms of raw graphical quality, we're looking at the same standards as the 4K mode on the Pro. That means we are missing the increased geometry, tessellation, high resolution shadows and other tweaks that appear on the PC, but at the same time we are getting some extra little refinements over base hardware. In that respect, the graphical upgrade is pretty limited. However, there is one area that does see a considerable boost when running at 1080p, and that's image quality. As most will probably expect, the key benefit to running on a full HD screen with a Pro is super sampling, and in the case of Mass Effect Andromeda, the game still internally checkerboards up to 1800p before being downsampled to 1080p. This provides image quality that, while not quite matching the PC version running at 4K downsampled to 1080p, still provides a very clean, very crisp image. It's a visible improvement over base hardware, but perhaps not as important as some of the considerable visual upgrades seen on PC outside of image quality. Ultimately, what Bioware have done is simply take the Pro's 4K mode and basically have the game operating in the same setup in 1080p. Essentially, you get super sampling with the same visual upgrades we see on Pro, and it's also the same thing with regards to performance. Here we've got the game running on base PS4 and then on the Pro with the 4K mode. What's interesting is that the general performance profile at the 4K mode actually resembles that of the base hardware. Essentially, performance is almost identical. The game targets 30 frames per second, but you'll note that adaptive VSync appears to be disabled. This means that we don't get any of the screen tearing found on base hardware, and from what I can tell, the impact on performance appears to be minimal. In fact, taking a look at both versions, we see similar frame rates across Pro and base hardware. Sometimes base hardware is faster, sometimes it's the Pro. But here I feel that it's more the difference in our gameplay runs that are causing the variances in frame rate rather than the game itself. When you look at performance across the board, it's clear to see that Bioware have upped the resolution and improved some of the effects while targeting the same baseline performance level as on base hardware. The difference is on Pro, of course, with a 4K TV, you get a big boost to image quality. And for 1080p owners, you get more refined image quality with 2 upgraded effects. It's not as big a deal, but it's still something. Importantly, you don't lose any performance. That's not to say that frame rates couldn't be improved though, and for me, I would have perhaps liked to have seen the 1080p mode running at 1080p natively, with upgraded effects while targeting a solid 30 FPS instead of the super sampling. But any way you slice it, PS4 Pro owners are still getting an upgrade. And that's really the takeaway here. If you're in a PlayStation 4 Pro, there are absolutely no downsides with Mass Effect Andromeda. You get the same level of performance, but whether you're running on a 4K screen or a 1080p display, you're still getting a visual upgrade. Anyway, with that said, I'll leave it there. As ever, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, as this is a 4K production, I would also suggest checking out our Patreon at digitalfoundry.net. Feel free to subscribe there if you'd like to see the high quality source file. But anyway, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.